All right, so we definitely do not want to take those devices and drop them into the trash. Electronic waste, often referred to as e waste, is a huge problem, and it only got worse during the pandemic. In fact, the estimates for 2021 are that 57 million tons of e waste was created, and only 17% or so of that actually got recycled. E-waste leads to more pollution, to greenhouse gas emissions, and to toxic chemicals being leaked into the ground. So definitely we want to avoid that. And yes, recycling is a great option, but you can't just drop it into the bin and forget about it. There are steps you have to take. There's ways to handle it. But maybe most importantly is if you don't take proper steps before handing off your device, you could be putting all of your personal data at risk.
All right, that'll get people's attention for sure. So what do we have to do before handing this stuff off?
Yeah, so it's not that difficult, but whether you've got a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer, we all store so much of our personal data on these devices these days, and we don't want that getting to the wrong hands. So depending on the device and the manufacturer, there's definitely going to be a settings section for each one of these devices. You're going to want to go into the settings, and there'll be an option that'll say something like wipe personal data or erase personal data. You want to go ahead and do that. And you'll also want to reset it to factory settings if that's an option. Now, you should have backed up all your information to the cloud, but that's a whole nother story. Once you've done that, then you're able to then hand off or get rid of that older device.
And if you decide, all right, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to unload this stuff, just what are the options that we have?
Yeah, there are a lot of great options. First of all, there may still be value in these older devices. And if you go on to an auction site like eBay or Facebook Marketplace, you may find that they're worth hundreds of dollars still. So that's fantastic. And then there's also other types of websites online that will actually just buy your devices, and then they turn around and they sell them, directly to the consumer. You don't make as much money on that, but it's a lot simpler and you don't have to deal with anything. They send you the box. Your life is easy. And if you're in the process of buying a new device, especially a smartphone, right now the trade-in values are fantastic. So because these carriers want to lock you into like a 5-year contract or longer, they're willing to give $750 or even $1,000 for some model phones as part of a trade-in. So that can be a very easy and lucrative deal for you.
For the people who perhaps aren't interested in the cash or just don't want to go through the bother, what other things can they do?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of options, and probably the easiest is just the simple hand-me-down. Give it to a friend or give it to a family member and just kind of make sure that you wipe all the data still. I mean, you don't want to be giving a phone off to your kids and for them to discover that your Amazon app is still tied into your credit card and suddenly you've got, a lifetime supply of Roblox subscriptions or anything like that. So you still want to take care of it. So that's probably one easy option. Another one is if there is still life in the device, then consider donating it. There are so many nonprofits and organizations and even local school systems here in Maine that could really put use to some of those older devices. And you can talk to your local school system. There's a lot of services around, or just go to your local Goodwill and drop it off and they'll take care of it for you. And there's often a tax write-off when you are doing these sorts of donations. And then the last option, especially if it's really old, maybe you can't even get it to boot up, is to just simply recycle your device, making sure that it doesn't end up in a landfill. So again, you're not just dropping it in a bin, you're going to the dump, or what do they call dumps these days? The transfer stations. You go to your fancy transfer station. And there's a special recycling section for electronics where you can go drop off your device. Now, again, you definitely want to wipe your device clean. And if your machine is so old, and this has happened to me a few times, that you can't even boot it up, so you can't get to the factory settings, then I strongly recommend that you go to the power drill section of your garage, grab a power drill, and put holes through that hard drive and turn that personal data into Swiss cheese so nobody can take advantage of you before delivering it to the recycling area. So the most important things to remember is there's lots of responsible ways to get rid of your older devices, but just make sure that you wipe them of all your personal data first.
I did not expect to hear from you, Rich, such a low-tech solution as taking the drill and drilling through the hard drive.
So rewarding, Rob. I can't even tell you how rewarding it is.